Hey everybody. So today I'm going to be ranking characters from all of the Ghostbusters movies. Since Frozen Empire is going to be coming out in a few weeks, I just thought I would rank the Ghostbusters characters. So let's start off with the worst and then just sort of go from there, I guess. So up first is Walter Peck from the original Ghostbusters. He just really got on my nerves because of the whole thing where he wanted to shut down the containment unit and stuff, and when he actually did, everything just went to hell. Okay, next up is Rowan from Ghostbusters. No, not Rowan. Vigo the Carpathian from Ghostbusters 2. Honestly, I wasn't really a huge fan of this character. He was just a bit weak. Alright, and next is the guy who ran the art house that had the painting of Vigo. Once again, just a weak character. So, next up is Aaron Gilbert from the 2016 Ghostbusters. Honestly, for a main character, she's just not my favorite. There's just not anything really interesting to bring to the table with this character, and I just didn't really like this character that much. Alright, so last for the worst section is Rowan from Ghostbusters 2016. Once again, he's just a very weak character, just not a very good villain. Alright, so next is the dumb and dull tier. So first we have Trevor from Ghostbusters Afterlife. I just didn't come to the theater to see Ghostbusters for this character. Honestly, I didn't really care much for the plot line between Trevor and Lucky. It just didn't interest me at all. Sure, the scenes where he was sort of driving around in the Ecto-1 were cool, but other than that, just not much else. And yeah, next up is Lucky. she was fine as a character. I just didn't really like the plot line with Trevor. I'm hoping that if she's in this new movie, this new Ghostbusters, maybe they could do more with her in the way of actually hunting ghosts and stuff, and focus less on the love part of things. And next up is Callie from Ghostbusters Afterlife. She just didn't add much as a character. Sure, her scenes with Egon were very emotional toward the end of the film, but that's about all that she really added to it. Okay, so next is the had potential tier. So first in this tier is Abby from Ghostbusters 2016. Sure, she was funny at times, but just didn't really add much for me as a character. Next up is Patty from Ghostbusters 2016. And once again, she just didn't add much. I was really hoping that they would do more with her in terms of the ghostbusting stuff. But it just felt like this director was treating the franchise like it was a joke or something. It just... Yeah, and second to last character in this tier is, I forget his name, Chris Hemsworth character. Once again, just added some humor to the movie in spots, but not really anything else. And then last but not least in this tier is the sheriff from Ghostbusters Afterlife. He was very underutilized, and I just thought they could have done more. Like, he could have helped the Ghostbusters and stuff, instead of just saying that callback line from the theme song. Because, yeah, that was all he really did. They should have done more with that character. Okay, so the next one is Hilarious. Well, that's the name of the next tier, but yeah, these are characters that I found sort of brought humor a little bit, at least. So the first character in this tier is Louis Tully. Now, I loved the fact that he was so desperate to get with, I'm blanking on the name of the actress. Oh, Sigourney Weaver. Sigourney Weaver's character, Dana. And he kept, every time he kept leaving his apartment, he just kept getting locked out, and it was funny. And then in Ghostbusters 2, when he was being a lawyer and stuff, I like that. Alright, so next is Dana. She was very, funny at times, especially when Bill Murray was over investigating stuff, and she kept closing the door in his face and stuff. That was funny. And next is Oscar, Dana Barrett's son. Now, the part at the beginning of Ghostbusters 2 when the cart started rolling away was pretty funny, honestly. That's all I have to say about that character. Didn't really add much, but oh, I forgot a scene. The one where it was flying in the air, like levitating almost. Floating, possibly. That was pretty hilarious as well. Next character is Slimer. Now, in the original Ghostbusters, there is a scene where Bill Murray's character, Peter Venkman, is walking around in this hotel type thing, and Slimer is just eating stuff off of the cart and things like that, and then he just slimes Bill Murray's character. And everyone's reactions to it were pretty hilarious. Alright, so next up is Muncher from Ghostbusters Afterlife. Now, I just like the way he was biting through the bars of the cage, the jail cell thing, and the noises in the mine or whatever. They're more hilarious than scary. Okay, so next up is podcasts. Well, more specifically, there was one line, more toward the beginning of the movie, where he told Phoebe that he thought that their summer school teacher was gonna try to get with Phoebe's mom. That whole scene was pretty funny. in the scenes where he was doing his podcast, and then I forget which character it was. It was either Ray or Winston knew of his podcast, and they were actually the one person that subscribed to it and listened. Alright, next is Evo Sandor. Now, well, there's not much to say about this character. There were just some things, how he was completely obsessed with Gozer and stuff. Or was that? I don't know. My mind is like going blank right now. I'm still sick. So, yeah. So, next is the Scolari brothers. They were the ones in the courtroom that ended up making everyone just stop what they were doing and just let the Ghostbusters continue doing their thing in Ghostbusters 2. It was just funny how quickly they just reversed the order to not bust ghosts anymore. So last character in this tier is the judge from Ghostbusters 2. I just really liked his reaction when the Scolari brothers just started haunting the courtroom. Sorry. I just thought that was hilarious when they did that. Like, all of a sudden, he's like, "It's the Scolari brothers!" Found that pretty hilarious. Okay, so now for the last tier. So these are basically my favorite characters. Egon. Well, yeah, we'll start with Egon because he's really smart. He was very, just intelligent and stuff. And I really liked his character. He brought a lot more to the films with his dialogue and stuff. And yeah, rest in peace, Harold Ramis. So next is Ray Stantz. He was very, how do I say this? He was very, not intelligent, I liked sort of his lines sometimes with things like the whole Ray's occult thing. He was trying to make it work and he just couldn't, but liked his character because he seemed to know what he was doing when he was busting ghosts. And yeah, that's about it for this character. Next up is Bill Murray's character, Peter Venkman. I liked his character for two reasons. One, his sort of comedic stuff with the ESP cart, I think it was at the beginning, and the testing people with the cards and stuff. That was pretty hilarious. Especially how they paid that off in Ghostbusters Afterlife. And just the other reason is just all of that stuff between him and Dana. It was all pretty funny to watch. Especially when Dana got possessed by Zool. Yeah. And so the next character is Phoebe from Ghostbusters Afterlife. She was very intelligent, especially coming from Egon Spengler's granddaughter. That's who she was, and she was able to just use a proton pack and stuff. And she was sort of doing all that with Egon's help at times. But it was all pretty awesome. And there were lots of jokes that she told throughout the movie. That some of them worked, some of them didn't, but I liked them. I like this character. I hope that they do more with her in Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Okay. Next up is Winston. I loved the lines, a lot of his lines, like, especially at the end of the first one, he was like, Ray, if someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes. And just things like that, because, yeah. He had a lot of great moments throughout these movies. At first, he was just in it for the money. But as things sort of went on, he sort of changed as to his perspective on being a Ghostbuster. And that end credit scene of Ghostbusters Afterlife showed that. And once again, I hope that Winston is in Frozen Empire, because he could very well be a mentor to these young Ghostbusters. So we'll see what happens with that. Next up is Janine. So her and Egon were very fun to watch. She had a few funny lines throughout the whole thing. One of them was, I think it was Louis Tully that asked if something was a sign, and she goes, "Yeah, it's a sign, all right. We're going out of business." That was pretty funny. And the Ghostbusters, what do you want? Mine, and stuff like that. Alright, so this one the next character might surprise you a bit. It's Jillian Holtzman from the 2016 Ghostbusters. She was another character that, like Egon, she was very smart and always sort of inventing new ways to bust ghosts. And I like that. And if they had done more with the actual ghost busting and less with the jokes and stuff, it could have been a great movie. If it was done right anyway. It's really sad that it wasn't. Okay, next up is Gozer. Gozer was just such an iconic character. Very effective as a villain. The stuff with the choosing the form of the Destructor, and then Ray thinks of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. that was funny. Okay. So, next up is Gary Gruberson from Ghostbusters Afterlife. I liked Paul Rudd's performance in this movie a lot. Especially the scenes where he was sort of testing out all the equipment and doing that whole line about how math and English and history are safe, but science not so much. That scene was great. And the scenes in the store when he was running from the Stay Puft, the mini Stay Puft guys were pretty funny. And then the terror dog jump scare. Not a huge fan of jump scares, but that one, seeing that on the big screen was very effective for me. Alright, next up is the librarian from the original Ghostbusters. I just really liked the scenes where the books were flying all over the library, and she was just freaking out. And then the Ghostbusters came to ask her questions, and her husband or whatever asked Bill Murray's character, what has that got to do with it? When they're talking about the character's monthly thing. That was all pretty funny. Alright, so last up is the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. He's just such an iconic character. Ray, thinking of this character and just having that be the form that Gozer takes, that was all pretty funny. And when Marshmallow went everywhere after Gozer was defeated, and it was all over everyone, I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, that's about it for today's video. I might be doing this same thing later on at some point with Indiana Jones characters, since I just recently watched those movies. So if you want to see that, leave a comment, or if you have any other ideas for anything else, leave a comment on that as well. But that's about it for today's video, and yeah, I hope you liked it. And if you did, hit the like button, subscribe, all that stuff, and I will see you in the next video.